Welcome students, I am Raman Singh Chauhan and we are going to study today's topic crystal diffraction and reciprocal lattice. So before we start crystal diffraction, we have a relook at crystal. What is crystal? Crystal is a periodic structure with unit cells that are repeated regularly. In crystal, the unit cells are repeated regularly in 3D and that give the pattern of a crystal, or we can say that is a long range order. And if we want to find out the information regarding crystal structure, then for this information of crystal structure, we are using crystal diffraction patterns of waves. So we can say crystal structure information can be obtained by understanding the diffraction patterns of waves interacting with the solid. So we know it is very common to study crystal structures using X-rays, neutrons and electrons, and thus general principles for all the X-rays, neutrons and electrons are same. That is, when we are talking of diffraction, what is happening in diffraction? In diffraction, we are passing a wave and that wave is passing through some obstruction. And when it is passing through some obstruction, means when some obstruction is provided in the path of a wave, then at the sharp edges it bends. The bending of wave at the sharp edges is called diffraction. So when we are talking of X-rays, neutrons or electrons, in such cases, what is happening in diffraction? We know that these are particles. Generally, we consider X-rays, neutrons or electrons, these are particles. These are comprising of particles and they are provided or they are thrown in form of beam. And when this form of beam is obstructed by some obstruction, by some obstacle in their path, then what is happening when these particles are moving and they are moving with velocities equivalent to the velocity of light, then in that case they will be having a wave nature. They will resemble a wave, and when we are taking these waves, then we will find that the diffraction pattern is observed, and using or studying the diffraction pattern, the structure of crystals can be studied. So we can say the result of crystal diffraction depend on the crystal structure and on the wavelength. Hence the wavelength of the beams which we are using, that provide, or on these wavelengths the information depends. If we are using optical wavelengths such as 5000 angstrom, the superposition of waves is scattered elastically by the individual atoms of a crystal results in ordinary optical refraction. When the wavelength of the radiation is comparable to or smaller than the lattice constant, diffracted beam occur in directions quite different from the directions of the incident radiation. Means when we are using the wavelengths which are comparable to the lattice constant. What is lattice constant? Lattice constant is spacing between two lattices, or we can say interplanar spacing. When we are having two crystal planes, two consecutive crystal planes, then the distance between these two consecutive crystal planes is called lattice constant, or simply we can say the lattice spacing is called the lattice constant. So we will have a look from the point of quantum mechanics, that the energy and momentum of particle with de Broglie wavelength are lambda, and we know E is equal to hc by lambda, where P is equal to h upon lambda, and we know E is equal to h upon P. So, from here we can see that E is equal to hc by lambda. Now, where h is Planck's constant, diffraction from crystal planes requires that lambda be of the same order of magnitude as the distance d between planes, that is d is approximately a few angstroms. So, lambda must also be in that range. So, this we can talk from the point of diffraction, that when we are talking of diffraction, then in diffraction the wavelength of the waves and the obstacle which is producing hindrance in the path of the waves, the two must be comparable. That is, lambda must be approximately or comparable to the obstacle. And when we are talking of crystals, then crystals are having lattice spacing of the order of few angstrom, and this lattice spacing is determined as d, is given as d. So, if we are having any wave and we want to study a distinguishable, or we want to study some pattern which can give some relative information of the crystal, then we must have the wavelength of that wave equivalent to or comparable to the lattice spacing or the distance d, that is of a few angstroms. So, lambda must also be in that range, we can say. So, the crystal structure can be found by studying the diffraction pattern of a beam of radiation incident on the crystal. Beam diffraction takes place only in certain specific directions, much as light is diffracted by a grating. By measuring the direction of the diffraction and the corresponding intensities, information about the crystal structure responsible for the diffraction can be obtained. So, from here we can say that as in grating, when light is passing through grating and diffraction is taking place, in similar fashion a crystal will act as a diffraction grating. For X-rays, neutrons or electrons. When we are talking of neutrons or electrons, then what we are saying that these are particles, but they are at very high comparable speeds with the light. So, they will resemble a wave and a diffraction pattern will be observed. So, we can say that diffraction pattern in crystals can be resembled as that of light in case of grating. Here we can say the crystals will be act as 3D gratings for these beams. It was first observed by W. H. Bragg and W. L. Bragg. This was a father-son duo, and they developed a simple explanation of X-ray diffracted beams from a crystal. They developed a theory in 1913 to explain why the cleavage faces of crystals appear to reflect X-rays only at certain angles of incident theta. The Bragg's derivation is simple, but it is convincing since only it reproduces the result that agrees with the observations. So, we will take on this Bragg's derivation and Bragg's law further in this topic. So, first, as we discussed, that a crystal behaves as a 3D diffraction grating for X-rays. We know the wavelength of X-rays is approximately 1 angstrom or of the order of angstrom, and the lattice spacing, as we know, in a crystal is also of the same, that is angstrom order. So, when these X-rays are falling on the crystal, then this crystal behaves as 3D grating for these X-rays, and since we know the lattice spacing or the distance between two lattice points is approximately or is comparable to X-rays, the wavelength of X-rays, then they will get diffracted, and the pattern of this diffraction will give the information about the crystal structure. So, measurement of the separation of the X-ray diffraction maxima from a crystal enables the determination of the unit cell size. So, from here we can use the separation of maxima, diffraction maxima, for determination of unit cell size, and also the intensities of diffracted beams. Information can be obtained about the arrangement of atoms within the cell. So, also the intensity or arrangement of atoms in the cell can be determined by using X-ray diffraction. So, hence we can define X-ray crystallography. For X-rays, the wavelength lambda is typically a few angstrom, which is comparable to the interatomic spacing or lattice spacing, that is distance between atoms or ions in the crystal. So, for crystal structure determination, the X-rays have to be of energy E X-ray is equal to H cross omega, that is H nu or H c by lambda. We know H is Planck's constant, c is velocity of light, and for X-rays the lambda is of order of 1 angstrom, that is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. So, we will find that the energy is approximately equal to 12.3 into 10 raised to power 3 electron volt. So, here now we will talk of Brag's law. So, for Brag's law, we see what considerations were made. First of all, the crystals were considered to be made of parallel planes of atoms. Incident waves are reflected specularly from parallel planes of atoms in the crystal, with each plane reflecting only a very small fraction of the radiation, like a lightly silvered mirror. In mirror-like reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So, here we can see in this diagram that two crystal planes are shown with these blue dots, which are representing the lattices or points or atoms which are separated at a distance d, small d. This is the upper plane and this is next lattice plane, and the interplanar spacing is small d. Now, we are considering two waves, one is A to C and the second one is B to E. These are incident and they are getting reflected. So, these waves are shown here, one is reflecting at C and the second wave, which is coming from B, that is reflecting at E. From here, C point is used to draw perpendicular at D and F. So, these are perpendicular distances, and from here we can see that AC is equal to BD and C to this infinity, because these rays are going to infinity, we can consider C to infinity and F to infinity, they are again equal. So path difference can be considered between D to F, and that is DE plus EF. So from here we can find out the path difference, and on the basis of this path difference the diffraction or the lattice spacing D can be determined. First we can determine diffraction, and from diffraction the D can be determined, or using D, because D is constant, the path difference can be determined. So we will use it, and here we can see that this angle of its incidence is equal to theta, and the angle of reflection is also equal to theta, that is as per our considerations. So now for constructive interference, here we are considering the interference. For constructive interference, we can have the path difference D plus EF, that must be equal to 2D sin theta, and this path difference 2D sin theta must be equal to n lambda for constructive interference. So we can have the condition n lambda is equal to 2D sin theta, and this condition is called Bragg's law. So from here Bragg's equation is 2D sin theta is equal to n lambda, where D is spacing of the planes or lattice spacing or interplanar spacing, and n is order of diffraction, that is it is first order maxima, second order maxima, or third order maxima. Since we know the maximum value of sin theta is plus 1, that is, for this case sin theta cannot be greater than 1, so sin theta will be less than or equal to 1. So Bragg's reflection can only occur for wavelength which will satisfy the condition that n lambda is less than or equal to 2D, because we are using this maximum value of sin theta, that is plus 1 or less than, we are using this value less than or equal to 1. So here we can say that n lambda is less than or equal to 2D. This is why visual light can't be used. No diffraction occurs when this condition is not satisfied, and the diffracted beams from any set of lattice planes can only occur at particular angles predicted by Bragg's law. So from here we can determine, or we can find out the particular angles, we can predict the particular angles for which this condition can be satisfied. Now we will talk about reciprocal lattice. So considering X-ray scattering from crystals and analyze the amplitude of the scattered waves, the electronic number density Nr in the crystal is a periodic function in space, that is Nr is equal to Nr plus T, with period T equal to direct lattice translation vector, where T is equal to N1A1 plus N2A2 plus N3A3. We have studied this lattice translation vector earlier in the lectures. So here we can see that this is a periodic function, means after a period the same pattern will repeat. Nr is equal to Nr plus T, where T is lattice translational vector, direct lattice translation vector, and from here Nr can be expressed as a spatial Fourier series expansion. So for a 1D model crystal, Nx can be represented as Nx is equal to N naught plus summation p greater than 0 Cp cos 2 pi px upon A plus Sp sin 2 pi px upon A, that is equal to summation p Np exponential I 2 pi px upon A, where p's are integers, and the Fourier coefficient of the number density can be written as Np is equal to 1 upon A 0 to A dx nx e raised to minus I 2 pi px upon A. Here these expressions we are using directly, and this is a Fourier transform or Fourier series that we have studied in different lectures. In 3 dimensions, the Fourier coefficient of the number density has the form nr is equal to summation g ng I g dot r, that is ng is equal to 1 upon bc summation 0 to a dvn r e raised to minus I g dot r. The vectors g are called reciprocal lattice vectors. As we said, the electronic density nr is required to be invariant under lattice translations, that is nr equal to nr plus t, that is it must satisfy nr plus t is equal to summation g ng e raised to I g dot r plus t, which is equal to summation g ng e raised to I g dot r e raised to I g dot t, which is equal to nr when e raised to I g dot t is equal to 1. So, from here we can find out some points related to reciprocal lattice, that the diffraction pattern is a representation of the reciprocal lattice. For every real lattice, there is an equivalent reciprocal lattice. A two-dimension real lattice is defined by two unit cell vectors and inclined at an angle. The equivalent reciprocal lattice in reciprocal space is defined by two reciprocal vectors, and each point in the reciprocal lattice represents a set of planes. So, here we can say that whatever we are studying by the diffraction pattern of crystals, that is representing reciprocal lattice, and reciprocal lattice is defined by two unit cell vectors which are inclined at an angle. Means for different angles we have different diffraction pattern, and thus each point in reciprocal lattice represents a set of planes. Now, reciprocal lattice can be represented by Fourier transform of another lattice, and reciprocal lattice plays a very fundamental role in most analytic studies of periodic structures, particularly in the theory of diffraction. So, what we find that when we are talking of crystal diffraction, in crystal diffraction we know that the lattice spacing is of the order of angstrom, and when we are using the beams, X-ray beam or other beams like electron beam or neutron beam, then the wavelength of these beams is equivalent to the or comparable to the lattice spacing or interplanar spacing. So, the crystal we have as a 3D grating for these beams, and diffraction is observed, and the information or the pattern of the diffraction gives the reciprocal lattice. That information is represented in the or the information is given represent the reciprocal lattice. So, and we know that reciprocal lattice can be represented in the form of Fourier transform of another lattice. So, this is all for crystal diffraction and reciprocal lattice. The next topic we will study in next class.